Hey guys, welcome back to the Soul Sisters podcast. I'm Daniela, and this is my amazing temporary co-host. I don't like the word temporary. What should I say?
I mean, it's the truth. It's temporary.
Okay, my temporary co-host, Andy.
Substitute, fill in. Like, what are other options?
I don't know. Temporary just sounds weird.
I'm a temp.
You're a temp. My temp, Andy. Woo, Andy!
Yay!
And today we have an awesome guest with us today, my friend from back in the day, Miss Amanda Recarey, and she's going to talk about some really cool things that has been on my heart lately, just in terms of a season of life that I feel like a lot of women our age are in. But welcome to the show, Amanda.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you
I'm
so
so
much.
excited.
I
It's my
know.
first time. So my first time on a podcast, my first time video. So I'm like,
This is not your first time on a podcast?
No.
Ooh, okay.
I know.
Okay, podcast.
I'm interesting. I'm an interesting person, kind of. I find myself to be interesting.
I can't wait for your podcast because you were
I
talking
know.
about the idea, the
I
dream.
want to so bad.
think
I want to so bad. I think I just need to organize it.
Yeah,
Like figure out the logistics and
Yeah.
actually do it.
yeah. I mean, all you
Yeah.
need is like a mic and like.
I know. I mean, I just
It's
do it on my
possible.
phone at this point.
Yeah, honestly, the iPhone,
hmm
great.
Magical.
It's great. You don't
Yeah.
need all the fancy stuff
Yes,
sometimes. Just
true.
get your message out there.
Yeah.
But I wanted to bring up your beautiful daughter Mila. She's so cute. Okay, so I feel like looks wise, she's like a perfect blend of you two. What do you? I mean,
So, okay, when she was born, she looked like me. As she's grown up, she looks like my husband.
Uh-huh.
But if you really look at her, she actually looks like baby Moana.
oh my gosh, that's how cute her
I
baby is.
get told this too many times a day. I went to Animal Kingdom recently, and I got people stopping me in my stroll, like pushing the stroll, and they're like, "Your baby looks like baby Moana," and I'm like, "I'm gonna need you to like back up, please, okay?" But yeah, she is a non-paid actor for Animal Kingdom at this point. We're gonna dress her up as baby Moana for Halloween
That is
because
so cute.
take advantage of her
She's
chunkiness.
Precious.
Thank
She's
you.
precious. But we wanted to talk about the fact that, she wasn't always here and kind
I
of
know.
your pregnancy journey and
Yes.
fertility journey that got to where you are now, which has been a huge faith building experience for me, just watching the journey that you and your husband have been on for the last few years. But I wanted to pass it over to you and just kind of say how did that all start? How did this journey begin?
Yeah, so Mila is my miracle baby. My husband and I, we struggled around 3.5 years with infertility. We were given multiple diagnoses. Well, myself, my husband, thankfully he's healthy, but for me, I was diagnosed with PCOS and hypothyroidism after I experienced an early loss. Our joke is that we have all the ingredients, but the oven is a little broken. So
That's a cute way to put it.
we struggled for about 3.5 years. We did medicated cycles, about 6 cycles. We did on Clomid and Letrozole and Avodril shots. So anyone who's walked through infertility knows those
They
terms.
know those
Yeah,
things.
they're like, oh yeah, done that. And then eventually we ventured into the IUI route where we did 3 rounds. And on the 3rd round, I guess, third time's a charm, we got our Mila.
Wow.
And she is our miracle because I was told by so many doctors that I was, reaching an age where it was going to be really hard unless I did IVF, that I was too fat to get pregnant. I was just given so many death sentences over my dreams of motherhood. So to say that she's here today is a miracle, and that we didn't have to go to our last resort, which was IVF, is a miracle in itself. IVF moms, they are super moms because that is an intense thing to go through. And it was just something that I was like, Lord, I don't know if I have the strength. So thankfully we didn't have to go that route, but we did IUI and it was a long process. But praise God, we have our miracle, Mila. Her name is Mila Joy, which translates as miracle of joy. So her middle name is Joy because my entire 3.5 years of waiting, God was just teaching me joy in my wait. He was showing me how I can be joyful while I wait for my miracle. So I had friends who were, getting pregnant, and it was something that I had to learn to just be joyful for them and say, God, you did it for them, you're going to do it for me.
Yes.
So the word joy was such a big thing for
What
me.
a great perspective, because it's
Yes.
so easy to be resentful and bitter
Exactly.
and like, why are they getting all these
Yes.
babies?
That was
Or-
something I struggled with a lot.
Yeah.
Huge struggle.
Yeah.
I had a lot of I'm angry with you, God.
Right.
moments.
Like
Mm.
why?
yeah.
Why not me? Yeah.
Exactly.
Especially when it's such a deep desire in your
Mhm.
heart where you're like, this is really what I want.
Yes.
And it was felt like probably the one thing you couldn't have.
Yes. It drove me nuts because I'm like,
Mhm.
Lord, it's literally the one thing I want. But
Isn't that how God works though? It's
Yeah.
like he's like, okay, whatever that is that we want so
Mhm.
badly, I feel
Mhm.
like he uses that to draw us to him
yes,
and remind us that he's more important than any of it.
absolutely.
Right?
And you appreciate it more.
Oh, totally.
I appreciate the miracle of birth, of pregnancy, of
Yes.
life itself.
Yes. I'm
Since
sure.
going through this.
I'm
Yeah.
sure. That's
Yeah.
so crazy. Yeah. I think it's a beautiful story. And like I had mentioned to you earlier, like I was following your journey through
Mhm.
through social media and just seeing like every time there was a loss or
Mhm.
something and me being disheartened, but
Mhm.
you guys were always like, but it's coming. Like
Yes.
even though baby's not here yet, it's coming. It's
Yeah.
coming. And even doing like an almost baby, like how did you guys do like these photo shoots where it was like
Yeah.
baby's not here? It was like
a Mother's Day shoot.
a Mother's Day
Yeah.
shoot, but like not having a baby yet, but like just speaking so much
Yeah.
faith. And I was like, oh, honestly, it was so faith building for me, just seeing
Yes.
it from the outside.
I love that. Yeah, no, we did a Mother's Day photo shoot because that year a lot of my friends got pregnant and announced they were getting ready to announce on Mother's Day, and I had to mentally prepare myself for it.
Yeah.
And my husband got the idea of like, let's do a Mother's Day photo shoot. So my neighbor just did it for us out of the
That's
kindness
so
of her
nice.
heart, and we used that as our faith building. Our I don't even know how to describe it. We took those photos in faith
Right.
of knowing like
It's
soon
gonna
we'll
work out.
soon we'll be announcing a baby.
That's so amazing.
So yeah.
So for people like lay people that don't know that whole world, like what is IUI? What's the difference
Yeah.
between that and like IVF and
Right.
like what are the severities of each of those things?
So IUI is just a fancy medical term for an insemination.
Okay.
That's really the best way to put it. You're on hormone stimulating prescriptions, and then you go through an actual insemination where the doctor will take the husband's sperm and get the strongest ones and inseminate the wife or the
Your
mother.
egg. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, they just want to get the sperm as close to the egg as possible,
Mm.
but they have to monitor and make sure you actually ovulate. So my issue with PCOS is that I was not ovulating consistent, that's a word.
Mhm.
Most women ovulate every single month. I was not.
Yeah.
So they were basically forcing ovulation out of
Mm.
me in a good way, in a healthy way.
Mhm.
And then once I ovulated a nice healthy egg, they got the sperm as close to the egg as possible and crossed our fingers and our toes that they became friends and made a baby.
So you guys did that 3 times.
3 times.
Wow. And I'm sure
Yes.
it's super expensive. I can't
It
even
is
imagine.
because insurance does not cover it. Some
Wow.
insurances do. Ours did not. But I'm telling you that third round, the one that got our Mila, was a miracle in itself because we were actually not going to do it at all because we
Wow.
weren't going to be able to afford it. We were using like our health savings account card, that little debit card,
Mhm.
and we had zero balance debt. We had nothing left. And so we were like, okay, we're out this cycle. We're going to have to wait and save up. It was like $1,500.
Oh my gosh.
And out of nowhere, a family member was like, I'll pay for it. Let me pay for it. Like, don't pay me back. Just, I'll do it. I cried. I was like, so she paid for it over the phone, and
Wow.
we were so thankful because we really had already accepted that we were just not going to do it. So
Wow.
it was a miracle
It
to
was
get.
meant to be.
Yeah.
It's all God's timing.
Yes.
So then IVF, that's more invasive or
Yeah. So IVF is more, they're creating the baby outside the body. So
gotcha.
they're retrieving your eggs, fertilizing it in a lab with an embryologist, watching it grow into a certain healthy state, and then placing it back into your body. So when you do IVF and you do a transfer of an embryo, you are medically pregnant at that moment. You are actually, I think, 2 weeks. So they have this term called pupo,
Gosh.
which is pregnant until proven otherwise. So all my friends who did
Oh my
IVF,
gosh.
they were pregnant the day they left their transfer.
That is so crazy.
I know.
You
I
walk
love
in
it.
unpregnant and then you walk out with a
Exactly.
baby inside of you.
And the really fun part about IVF, and I know this sounds silly, but this is really good for like moms, mom to be who are in a blended family. Maybe they married a man who already has kids. I had a friend who her husband had 2 sons, and she's like, I don't want another boy. I want a girl. So with IVF, you can pick the gender.
Oh my god!
So it's kind of like ordering a baby on Prime. Like,
my
I would like a
gosh.
girl, please.
So crazy.
Yeah. So,
That's so
and
crazy.
great part is you get as many as possible. I have a friend who has 7 babies in storage right now. Yes. I'm like, girl, you gonna have all 7 of them? But they're all just beautiful, healthy babies, and I'm praying she gets a girl because she has 2 boys right now. I was like, you need a girl. You need a girl, okay?
Wow. I mean, I didn't know that they had the baby growing for so long outside of the mother's body. I thought it was kind of like it's fertilized and then they put it in.
No,
I didn't realize
they have
Oh
to
my
watch it
gosh.
because a lot of times with women who go through IVF, the issue is, the baby becoming an embryo. Like, it sometimes stops midway or it just doesn't grow healthy enough. So the embryologist makes sure it grows healthy and make sure that it's a healthy embryo to transfer. So
Wow.
IVF is a lot more expensive, a lot more invasive. And I always say women that go through IVF, they are super women. They have gotten all my respect. I'm like, girl,
That is a lot.
it's a lot. It is so much. I have a lot of friends who have gone through it, and I'm just like, I admire their strength so much. My best friend, she has 2 baby boys through IVF, technically 3. One is in heaven and the other 2 are earthside. And I'm like, girl, you are super mom.
Wow. That is
So,
super mom. I didn't
yeah.
realize how like intricate that was.
And there's a lot more medications involved there. IVF is where you're doing self-injections for a certain amount of time. I'm not sure the details. Don't quote me on that. But there's a lot more injections done. With IUI, you only do 1 injection, and you're good.
That's crazy. I feel like society in general is becoming a little more open to this.
Yeah.
Talk of infertility. Like, yes, there's a lot of women that are dealing with this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of women with PCOS. There's
It's
a
not
lot of
taboo
women.
anymore.
It's not as taboo. Even miscarriages. I feel like
Yeah.
a lot more women are talking about miscarriages.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's overall a good thing. I feel like I don't know why anyone would post that to get attention.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a bad way to post that.
Unfortunately, there are sick people in
I
this
mean, I
world.
guess there are. But I guess overall,
Yeah.
it's to me, it's like this is something that we deal with. Like back in my mom's time, or my grandma's time. Like you never said that. Like
Exactly.
I remember my aunt talking about this, and she's like, you would never tell anyone you had a miscarriage ever.
Exactly.
And now I feel like it's very much like a lot more open. I don't think we're like
Yes.
fully open yet, but it's definitely the door is opening, and I think that's good. That's healthy. Like I actually had a miscarriage between Joshy and Jude, so I have my 2 boys, and I felt like even then I felt like I didn't want to share what until I was ready. So it wasn't until like almost a year later, but I felt like I wanted to say something and be like, this did happen to me, and this is something that happens to a lot of women.
Yeah.
And I think it only helps you move on a little faster, knowing like, okay, this isn't like I'm not the only person that this has gone, that happened to. And so like all of your stories were so encouraging too, just to be like, I can get past this, and with God, like anything is possible.
Absolutely.
And in this case, it probably felt like anything is like this is an impossibility,
Yeah.
but God made it happen.
Yes.
That's so crazy. How did it change your faith or your husband's faith or your guys as a marriage?
Yeah. So for me, I went through stages of just anger towards
Yeah.
God. I really did, because I felt like I did everything right. Like, I checked off every box of like, I'm a good Christian, so I deserve a baby.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go through infertility and you're like, wait, what did I do wrong? So I went through a lot of stages of anger towards God, of like, what's going on? Why, like, are you punishing me?
Right.
And it took for me to just surrender it to him, like just give it to him. I don't want to get emotional, but I had to say, Lord, do it however way you want to do it. However way you see fit, let it be.
Yep.
And doing that was so powerful. I do not want to cry.
It's okay.
But I feel like doing that for a lot of women is hard, because we want that pregnancy. We want the belly, we want the baby shower, we want the maternity photos. And sometimes God is like, can I do it my way? Because I have a way of doing it. And I know that his way, he gets all the glory.
Exactly.
It's no longer of like, we just had sex and got pregnant. Now it's like, no, we gave it to him and he did it.
Exactly.
All glory goes to him. At the day I found out I was pregnant, I remember I recorded it. I still have the voicemail because I had my doctor call me and leave the results on a voicemail so that I could listen to it with my husband. And I recorded our reaction listening to the voicemail. And I remember the moment he said the words that you're pregnant, all I could do was just thank God. I was like, God, you did this. You get all the glory, no medication, no exercise, no diet, no this, no that. You did this. And so I think going through this not only strengthened my faith, but it just gives me a reason to say, like, God, look, and tell other people, he did it for me. He did it for my friends. He did it for everyone else. What makes you think he's not going to do it for you?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. That's so encouraging.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of women can feel alone, like we were saying, can feel
Yeah.
alone in this. They can feel angry at God.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't even know God, and maybe it could be drawing them to God. You don't know,
Absolutely.
So I think it has to touch something inside of
Yeah.
you, no matter where you are in terms of all of that.
Yeah.
It has to touch something inside of you and be like, okay, like what? What's going on?
Yeah. And it's like you said, it's something that's so taboo.
Mhm.
No one talks about it. No one goes to the Thanksgiving table and is like, hey guys, my uterus doesn't work.
Mhm.
So it was such a taboo topic that I was so annoyed that was taboo. I'm like,
Mhm.
why can't we talk about this?
Right.
Not everyone gets pregnant on their honeymoon.
Right.
Some
Right.
people have to go through things to get
Right.
pregnant. And when I became public about it and
Mhm.
started posting on my Instagram about it, so many friends, like coworkers who
Mhm.
I had worked with for years,
Mhm.
were coming out of nowhere like, oh yeah, me too. Me
Mhm.
too, for
Yeah.
years. I'm like, girl,
How do we not know this?
we work in the same cubicle for years. How did
Yeah.
this never come out in conversation?
Yeah.
And they all said the same thing. They're like, I was embarrassed.
Yes.
How do you talk about,
Mhm.
my husband and I can't have kids?
Mhm.
It's such a shameful thing. And
Right.
it's like, no, it shouldn't be a
It shouldn't
shameful
be
thing.
shameful.
There's nothing
Exactly.
wrong with you. You are not broken. You are not a
Mhm.
misfit. You just need a little extra TLC there. That's it.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah.
That's so encouraging. And I think that we need support when it comes to
Mhm.
that. Like, I don't think women should be doing this on their own
Absolutely.
because even though you have a husband, it
Yeah.
feels very you. It's like, this
There's
is a
only so
me.
much your husband can do for you. You need
Exactly. Exactly.
extra
You're the one carrying the
care.
baby. You're the one that's going to
Yes.
deliver the baby. So
Yeah.
it feels very much to your feminine identity.
Yeah.
So how did that kind of affect you in terms of like that female identity?
Yeah.
Like God created my body to do this, like how did you work process through that?
So it was hard at first because I had so many friends around me getting pregnant,
Mhm.
and they were newlyweds or whatnot. Or I was my fifth baby. We weren't even trying. And I'm like, I hate
You're like, "Arr."
you. But having community was vital,
Mhm.
absolutely vital for me. So I accidentally stumbled upon on an Amazon review of all places. I found a devotional,
Mhm.
and the writer of the devotional is actually the owner or president of a infertility support community
Mhm.
for women, and it's actually a faith-based community. It's called Moms in the Making, and I remember finding it and like just crying because my heart's desire was to find community. I just didn't know how to pray that.
Mhm.
And so I was like, Lord, how do I ask for like women who are going through the same thing as me? But he just gave it to me. He provided that. And so finding that community was so vital for me. Having women who are walking through the same season of life that you're walking through,
Right.
but their heart is full of hope, their heart is full of joy, and all they want to do is give you the same and
Mhm.
pour into you.
Mhm.
I built so many kingdom friendships that I never had before. I didn't know what it was like to have a friend pray for you.
Mhm.
I never had that. And so to have women pray over me and agree with me that, yeah, he's going to do it for you. The same way he's
Yeah.
going to do it for me, he's going to do it for you. It
Exactly.
was such a heart changing moment for me. And it helped me understand why I was going through this. I really felt like, they always say like that, what the enemy meant for evil, God used it for his glory. I truly, truly feel like God knew what he was doing
Mhm.
when, he allowed me to go through this season because
Mhm.
it grew my faith in knowing that he can take anything and turn it for his glory.
That's so
Even if
good.
that means finding kingdom friendships and
So good.
finding friends who are going to pour into you
Yep.
that way.
That is so important. And that's what our
Yeah.
whole thing is about. It's like the community, it's friendship. It's
Yes.
like that support that you need.
Yeah.
And we take it to a whole nother level with the faith aspect. Like
Mm-hmm.
we're not just like friends, like encouraging each other and like, you can do anything, blah,
Yeah.
blah. there's also
You
this
can do
aspect.
it.
You can do
You can do
it. There's also this aspect of like, no, we serve a God who can do
Yeah,
anything, and
exactly.
He's the one that we're turning to. And I'm gonna remind you about that. And
Mhm.
that's the whole point. Is like I'm gonna keep reminding you
Yes.
that God can do anything in your life, and God loves you,
Yes.
and God has a plan for you. And like,
Yes.
so to me, that's like, oh, takes it to a whole nother level.
Yes.
That as humans, we can't do anything.
I know.
Like we need to remember, like we have nothing, we can't control anything. Like
Exactly.
hurricanes come, volcanoes erupt. It's like people think they have control. It's
We
like
do
we
not
can't.
have control over our
We
reproductive
can't
systems,
and
okay?
even that is like a cosmos in itself.
I know.
It's like, how does that even work?
I know. It's like I thought I knew how it worked, but apparently not.
I don't even understand. It's so
I was
crazy.
homeschooled, so my mom didn't teach me that.
You're like, what's a uterus?
What's a uterus? You know what? I will say, going through fertility, you learn so much.
You probably could be a gynecologist
You
now,
learn
honestly.
so much of the female reproductive system. Someone can sit here and tell me, like, I'm pupil. I'm like, oh my gosh, are you? That's awesome. Because I know what that means.
Can you look at me now and tell me what part of my cycle I'm in? You're like, oh girl, you are
Oh my
ovulating right now. Like, I can tell.
It is
That's so
wild.
funny.
It's wild. I love it though.
That's so
Woman's
funny.
body is amazing.
It's literally a miracle.
It is.
I'm like, I really don't understand how.
Pregnancy is a miracle.
It's a
Feeling
miracle.
life grow inside you to this day. My daughter is 13 months, okay? To this day, I look at her, I'm like, I grew you.
Mhm.
Like, you were in my body, okay? And
Mhm.
I delivered naturally. God humbled me on that moment, okay? Yes, snap, because I walked in I was induced, and my nurse was like, what's your labor plan? And I was like, I'm going to go natural. I just want to do everything.
You know how many
natural's
nurses
okay."
probably hear that?
And she just looked at me like, oh, you're cute.
Yeah, you're cute.
And then 10 hours in, my water broke. And I was like, give me the drugs.
Mhm.
Give me it all.
Mhm.
They gave me an epidural. It didn't even hurt, by the way, which maybe
Mm.
that was the sign. I feel like epidurals are supposed to hurt. And it didn't hurt.
It did.
Yeah, okay. It didn't hurt. And then it never kicked in. Maybe they didn't do it. I don't know.
Maybe they didn't do it.
I don't know.
They're like,
Yeah,
no.
like, yeah, tell her she's in. It's okay. But yeah, it never worked. And I ended up delivering my baby completely natural.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I'll never forget that
strong.
moment when the anesthesiologist came in. He's like, I don't know why it's not working. And I was
Bro.
like, be gone. Get out of my room.
I have such a thing for anesthesia. Okay, I don't want to say I hate them. I greatly despise anesthesiologists.
I had such a good one.
Okay,
when
I haven't heard that
walked
story yet.
in for my induction.
Okay.
But then the next day is when my water broke. Was it 10 hours in? I don't remember. I was delirious. But the next day is when my water eventually broke and I started getting contractions. And so it was a completely different anesthesiologist. And he just looked at me like I was an inconvenience to him.
Yes, I'm like, guys, you're here to help me.
You're getting paid.
They're always super sassy, and they're just
Yeah.
always like, well, she's moving, she's this, she's that. And I'm like, bro, I'm like delivering a huge baby right now. Like,
Do you
I
know
get
what
so
was
mad.
worse about my epidural experience? My water had broke, but it wasn't like a gush, right? It was just a drip.
Mhm.
But when I went to get my epidural, you know how they have you like lean over your bed?
Oh,
So I had to like
yeah.
scooch over, and it was Niagara Falls.
Oh Lord.
I was like, I'm so
Oh,
sorry, I
Lord.
can't stop it.
Yeah, you can't. There's
There
no way
was
to. It's not me.
nurses with like buckets and towels, and I'm just like, what do I do?
It's so embarrassing.
And the guy behind me is like, don't move, and I'm like, I don't know what's happening.
This is birthing right here. Poor Andy. She's like, I'm never having. She already told me. She's like, I'm never having a baby.
I feel like so out of my depth in this conversation. Like I'm like trying so hard to think of something to contribute, and I have nothing. I
Listen,
have nothing.
I will say a lot of people have asked me, like, what is it like delivering natural? It is taking the biggest poop of your life. And you do poop. Get it over with. Like, get it out of the way. Like, the nurses, I would apologize to her. I was like, I'm so sorry. And she's like, it's okay. That's how I know you're pushing correctly. So, yeah, that's just, you just lose all shame. You toss it out the window.
I was telling her, okay, this is gonna be a little TMI.
Yeah,
So,
like, my Juan was like super
no,
TMI.
yeah, sorry.
It's, like, not already,
I'm gonna
but-
label this episode TMI, PG-13. No, I was telling her, I was like, when I was gonna have my first one, my husband asked me like, hey, my mom wants to be in the delivery room to see. It was the first grandbaby for the whole fam for both sides.
Oh my gosh.
So I was like, yeah, sure.
Big
So my
moment.
mom's gonna be there. So my mom was in the delivery room. My husband's mom was in the delivery room. My husband was in it was like too full.
Too many people.
And I
Yeah.
never thought about the fact that you're like naked.
Yeah.
Like you just have like a little cloth over you. It doesn't cover anything.
No.
So I'm like, my mother-in-law has seen my whole naked
all
body.
The bits, all the bits. I had a cute maternity gown that I bought. I was like, I'm gonna be so cute. I'm giving birth. I'm gonna have my hair longer than life.
No, girl, it is
No.
raw. It is a
Girl, I gave birth in a bra. I was like,
how did you get a bra? I didn't get a bra.
no, I brought a maternity bra.
Oh my god.
And that's it. Like, I was just like, get her out of me. Get her out of my body right now. And the worst part, this is the worst. And hopefully my husband does not watch this part. My OB is so cute.
Don't you hate that? I mean, I'm always like, oh my god.
I'm like, sir, take me to lunch. And he's got like an accent, but he wasn't there for delivery, right?
Okay.
Thank God.
No, yeah, thank
I
God.
would have been humiliated
Thank God,
if
yeah.
I like pooped right in front of him.
Yeah, yeah.
But he came in like the next day to see me and the baby and congratulate us. And when I tell you my hair was in like a bun on the side, I had bags under my eyes. I had not even showered because they didn't let me shower yet.
Oh wow.
And I'm over here like, hi,
You're like,
leaky
hey.
boobs and everything.
Yeah.
This is not what I wanted you to see, but
Oh my god. Isn't that funny for the doctor when your
I
husband's
know.
you're like, I don't care about you anymore. For the doctor you want to be like, okay.
Your job is done here.
Yeah, your job is done.
But yeah, you lose all shame. Not shame, but you just like you
don't even care. Yeah, you just don't
Exactly.
even care anymore. I'm like,
You're just
okay,
like,
whatever.
it is what it is. Okay. Yeah.
You've done seen all of me.
Everything. You just get used to nurses just touching your whole body.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially with infertility.
Oh, really?
We're just gonna bring that back because if you go through infertility, every woman knows this term, and it's called morning dates with Wanda.
Okay.
Okay, so
And
you
he's
know
like,
what?
I'm scared.
I feel like
Morning
I have like
dates with
context
Wanda.
clues. I'm like getting anxious over here.
So when you go through like IVF,
Yeah.
IUI, any type of like procedure where they have to check your follicle growth,
Yes.
they have to do it transvaginal,
Yeah.
and it's a wand.
Okay.
Oh no.
So we call her Wanda.
Oh,
And if you're
no.
lucky like me and you have a really good doctor, you're good. It doesn't hurt. But I did have a nurse one time do it, and I don't know if it was just her first day.
Oh,
because she was just like stirring the pot.
oh
my
my
guts.
god.
And I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh my God.
I can't even imagine that.
Yeah. And it's like
That's-
6 in the morning because you have to do them early morning. So it's like,
What a horrible way to start the day.
No, nothing like a good gut stirring, 6
Oh
a.m. in the
my
morning.
God.
And then you got to go to work like nothing.
Like nothing just happened.
Yeah.
Like you didn't get violated by
Yeah.
a freaking wand.
My husband is sitting there the whole time just watching. My fertility doctor, I love him. Can I give him a shout out?
Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Patanakis at RMA Lake Mary. Chef's kiss. He's amazing. He's fantastic. But he's so chill.
Mm-hmm.
So my IUI, the procedure itself, was the week of Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So he's performing the IUI, and my husband's sitting next to me. And my husband's never been in my other 2 IUIs. This is the first one because we did it during COVID. So this was the first time where he like saw everything, and him and the doctor just having a conversation about Thanksgiving sides. Yeah,
And you're like, guys, I'm trying to like have a baby in
yeah.
put inside
He's
me.
talking about like, oh yeah, my favorite. I'm gonna get some yams and this and that, and I'm just laying there, just wide open, like a breeze comes through everything, because they have to put the crank in you because they got to get into the cervix. This is a trigger warning.
Yeah, this is major trigger warning.
And my doctor looks up at me. He goes, "What's your favorite side?" I'm like, "Sir, no."
You're like,
Oh,
hell no, we
Read
are.
the room. This is not the time and place, sir. But yeah,
You're just like, oh yeah, sweet potatoes.
yes.
What?
Thanksgiving week, the turkey was not the only thing getting poked.
Oh,
It was me.
my
I have a Thanksgiving baby.
God. Me too.
Do
I
you?
swear Jude was conceived. I'm sorry. This
But
is
you
like, this is like hardcore. This is our most like dirty episode ever.
But you probably had fun with that one.
I was like, well, my husband's off of work today. So let's just like.
It's okay. It's okay. Listen, I call my fertility doctor my unofficial baby daddy because technically it took 2 men to get me pregnant and $1,500. So, and a round
Dang,
of hormone
girl.
supplements.
You was high maintenance.
I was excited. Nothing is romantic than having your legs in syrups. Just having a nurse show up with like your husband's sperm. Like, it's a great count. Thank you. Thank you for that, ma'am.
Your husband's like, yeah.
Yes. You know what it okay, so I love you, baby. Okay. My husband can donate at this point. That's how like he doesn't have an issue. He has too much. Okay? Too much. His
So
swimmers
funny.
are multiplying by the seconds.
This is so funny.
So when they do your IUI, they tell you like the count
Uh-huh.
to make sure you know it's a strong count.
Mm-hmm.
So every single IUI that I've walked into, every single time the nurse is like, he has a lot. Like, thank you. Thank you for reminding me that I am the problem. I appreciate that.
He's awesome.
Yeah, they're like, he has a lot of swimmers. They're really strong.
They call them swimmers?
Well, they're sperm.
No, I know, but do they use the term swimmers?
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean, at
okay.
this point, you're comfortable. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you've seen my bits. Let's just call it swimmers. Call it what it is. But every single time, they're always like, there's so many. Look. And I'm like, I'm good. Thank you. Just put them in me, please.
His ego just
I've
like
got things to
goes
do.
out the door. I'm
Oh,
sure.
yes. My husband just sits there like, I'm good. She's the problem, not me.
That is so funny.
Yeah, it's fun. Infertility humbles you.
I'm sure.
It humbles you.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
What,
We're hoping that baby number 2 is not having to go through that. But
so hard. Yeah, what I was gonna say, what like are you guys gonna try to do IUI again or just try natural or what are you guys thinking about?
Natural,
Yeah.
because it is expensive.
Yeah.
It is very expensive, and we have a new insurance, so I don't really know what it covers, if it covers anything.
Okay.
But we're hoping for natural.
It could
'Cause
happen.
it would be nice to be able to be like, we just got it on.
Yeah.
And bam, pregnant.
Yeah.
It would
Try
be
on Thanksgiving
fantastic.
again.
I know, right? Well, okay, so we
She's
have
like traumatized. She's like, I am not looking forward to Thanksgiving this year. All these
Just a
couples are
reminder.
doing it on Thanksgiving.
Well, we should, because everyone says the year of the boy. Like, everyone who gets
Mm.
pregnant is having a boy, and I think my husband just may jump off the roof if he has another girl. I don't know if you saw my gender reveal, because
He was not happy. I don't remember.
his face, immediate disappointment.
Oh, man.
Like he's in love with our daughter, but he wanted a girl. I mean, he wanted
He was
a boy.
a teen boy. Yeah.
Yes, and
Yeah.
I told him, I said, babe, the sex is determined by the male. Okay.
It's all your fault.
Exactly. All his brother, his cousin, everyone on his side of the family, their firstborn is a girl.
Wow.
I'm like, I know you want a boy, and I'll be happy with a boy, but genetics is screaming girl right now. So I'm gonna need you to just accept it.
Oh my
And
gosh.
sure enough, it was girl. So I was
That's
like,
so funny. See, I wanted a girl for both of them, and I got 2 boys.
oh no. See, okay, you gotta walk in like ready with whatever.
Yeah.
We had prepared for a boy. We had a name picked out and everything.
Yeah.
We had a theme for the nursery. It was gonna be boy.
Wow.
And then just surprise, it was a girl.
That's what I have to do. I have to plan for a boy, and then God's gonna surprise me with a girl. Even though
Right.
I don't want to have another one, but
Or you'll
I'm
have
just saying.
twins. You should do
my
do
gosh.
IUI, because do you know
Yeah.
that Kate Goslin, she did IUI. She got 6. Yeah. I
I
know.
don't want multiples. I don't
Like,
want multiples.
You have
no.
to like sign a waiver for certain medications of like, you may have like 20 kids.
Heck no.
Yeah. There was
No,
a
no, no.
medication my doctor refused to give me because I have high chance of multiples in me.
Mhm.
And he's
Just
like,
genetically?
yeah, because
Okay.
we did the genetic testing
Okay.
and stuff like that, and we have twins on both our sides
Yep.
of the family, so there's just a high chance.
I have
of
it
that.
on my side of the family, so I
Yeah.
was always scared with each one. I'm like,
I
only
want
one heartbeat,
twins.
right? Only one heartbeat. Okay.
I want it. Just get it over with. 2 for 1.
I
BOGO.
don't know, man. But that's like double hard infancy stage, double hard everything stage. I
Well,
feel
yeah.
like.
Well, so I had that high chance, and he was like, you could have like 12 kids. Like, you could be like the octomom. Do you want that? And I'm like, no, I'm good. That just hurts my hoo-ha.
But wait, that's an option?
It's not an option. There's a medication that heightens the chance.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so he didn't want to give me that medication.
Gotcha.
He
So
gave
why
me
would
some-
anyone take that medication?
A lot of times it's women who don't ovulate enough.
Oh,
I
okay.
ovulate enough. I just don't ovulate consistent.
Gotcha.
So
Depending on your situation and
Exactly.
condition. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone's PCOS comes in so many layers.
Gotcha.
So many flavors and versions.
do you think that PCOS is like more common now, or why
is.
do you think it's more common now? What do you your personal? Obviously, you're not a doctor, but your personal
My
thoughts.
personal preference, personal preference, my opinion on
Yeah.
this is I think that it's something to do with obviously what we're eating.
Yeah.
But I feel like birth control is just causing
Mm.
PCOS in so many women because I never had it. I have always had a regular period. I've
Mhm.
always had just normal cycles. I never had cysts. I've been going to my OB forever, like since my early 20s.
Yeah.
Never have I ever had anything, leaning towards
Gotcha.
PCOS. And then I went on birth control for like, let's say 8 months because I wanted to skip my period for my wedding.
Hmm.
And
I hear that.
yeah, after that, I just stood on it for a while because we knew we didn't want to have kids immediately.
Hmm.
And then I got off of it.
Hmm.
And then we started trying for kids and we struggled. And then they discovered PCOS in me. And I was like,
That's so weird.
but how is that? It was never there before and now it's there now.
That's
So
weird.
I am not a medical professional, but I don't know. It's just kind of it's a little sus.
I do. I have
suspicious.
always thought that birth control pills. Well, I don't know about all of them, but I've
Mhm.
always thought that birth control has kind of attributed to infertility because it's like all of a sudden we're all using birth control
It's a lot of
and it's a lot of
hormones.
hormones and it's kind
Mhm.
of putting us out of whack and stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was just obviously my
Yeah,
humble opinion. I have no idea.
exactly.
But it just seems like it's kind of like a trend.
Exactly.
And it's weird that this is all matching up and
Exactly.
all this crazy stuff is happening. But
Yeah. And I mean, there are women who get infertility who never take birth control.
right.
So
It's so many variables. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
I just feel like for me in my specific situation, I
Yeah.
think that's what contributed to it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who
That's
knows?
interesting. Well, if there's someone out there that's dealing with infertility, number one, how can we as friends support
Yeah.
them? And number two, pray for them.
Yeah.
What would be the right approach when it comes to a friend having this?
Yeah. I think number one when it comes to support is just listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try and pat them on the back.
Yeah.
Don't be like, it's going to be okay. Don't do that. Like, validate their emotions.
Mhm.
They are grieving something that most women take for granted.
Mm-hmm.
You know, most women could just sneeze near their husband and they get pregnant,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
and they're struggling with that. So allow them to grieve that. So listen to them, be there for them emotionally, but also encourage them to just keep fighting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, don't, you know, there a lot of times women will just give up
Mm-hmm.
and just be like, it is what it is. I'm
Mhm.
just never going to have children. Be that support and be like, I want you to try. I want you to keep trying. If you still have the strength, then you keep trying. So definitely be there for them to support in that way, but also help them find community because, you know, a friend who's never gone through infertility, there's only so much you can support me.
Yeah.
But another friend who walks through infertility can support me in a different way. So it's important to find that community of women who are walking the same season. So definitely help them find that community. And then praying for them, just continue to pray for their heart, that it doesn't harden during that season.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get angry with God and
Yeah.
blame God for everything.
Yeah.
But it's important to say, Lord, you're doing something in this season. I don't know what it is,
Yeah.
but I know at the end you're going to get the glory.
Exactly.
So just pray for their hearts in it.
That's so true. Yeah, because it's a process. I'm sure it's a roller coaster of emotions.
Roller coaster, especially with hormone pills.
Oh my gosh, it's like, can we make this worse?
Yes, my poor husband. He's alive.
Poor guy.
I know, by the grace of God. It is.
Well, I think that's so true, and I thank you for sharing that because
Yeah.
there are so many women that are going through this right now, and sometimes we feel like we're gonna say the wrong thing, or it's like I don't, I love what you just
Yeah.
said. That was really helpful, and honestly, life doesn't take us in the direction we ever thought we were gonna go
Exactly.
in. Like
So true.
for like at least for me, like I didn't have problems getting pregnant, but my littlest guy does have special needs, and so that's kind of like its own thing where I'm like I prayed for this baby and I was so excited to have this baby, and then it's kind of like you get a curveball. You're like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that part, and now this is me and our family walking through our faith, not trying to figure out why he has special needs because it is what it is and he's perfectly made in the image of God.
Yes.
But just to be like
Navigate.
navigating it
Yeah.
because it is different than a neurotypical child. So
Yeah.
it's navigating this new road that we didn't think we were
Exactly.
going to be on, and always giving God the glory because I could not have imagined life differently with you. Like he is everything that our family
Perfect.
needed and everything I've ever needed, and it's funny you say Joy, Mila Joy, because Jude's name actually means like praise. And I remember when
Aw.
he was first born and he had to be rushed to the NICU because he
Oh.
stopped breathing. It was
Oh
a
my
whole thing, girl.
gosh.
It was the most scariest moment of my life.
Yeah.
And after he was all settled in the NICU and I was able to go back to the room and like shower, I remember just like being in the shower, like crying and like praying to God. And I'm like, what's happening? I'm like, God, what is this? Like, why is this happening? And I was just like bawling and bawling. And I'm like, I didn't know if he was going to live or not. I didn't know
Oh,
what was
wow.
going to happen. I was so in like this place of confusion. And I just remember God like telling me like, just praise me. And I was just like, oh my God. Like,
Are those like the hardest?
and
God's like, just love me.
yes. And I just remember that and I was like, wow, that's so like appropriate. It's like so right. I'm like, yes, I
Yeah.
just have to praise him.
Yeah.
So that's so true. I love that. Like
Yeah.
we feel like it's dark, but God's like, no, it's light.
Yeah.
Isn't
Yeah.
that crazy?
That's the beauty of it all.
Your little joy and my little praise. And
Yes.
It's so
I was
great.
gonna bring her, but she would tear apart everything. I was like, let me not do that to them. Let me
She's
not do
precious.
that.
She's precious. If anyone wants to get community, you had mentioned Mommies in the Making.
Mom's in the making.
Moms-
Mommy's in the making. That's a nicer term. I
Oh.
should call it that. Mom's in the making.
Moms in the Making. Okay.
Yeah. So they have Instagram, Facebook. They are international, so they have
Okay.
it in Spanish.
Oh, that's awesome.
They're on different time zones, the UK,
Okay. I'm
Canada,
going to make sure I tag them.
the Netherlands. We've gone
Oh,
everywhere.
wow.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
But they have virtual and support groups.
Okay.
Virtual and in-person support groups.
That's awesome.
And they just offer just amazing support
That's great.
for whatever type of infertility, whether
Perfect.
it's you're going, trying to get pregnant or adopting or fostering or surrogate or
Yes.
embryo adoption. I mean, all the things.
That's good.
They offer support in every realm of
That's
that.
awesome. Okay, I'll make sure to put that information out there for people that need
And they
that.
have a conference coming up this October, so get your tickets.
Ooh.
Gotta get my plug in.
That's cool. Yeah, anything else you want to plug? I mean, honestly. That's
Follow
great.
me on TikTok.
There you go. What's your TikTok handle?
The Amanda Recarey.
Okay, I'll try to
Yeah.
put that in there too.
Yes,
so
it's the
people
same
can-
thing as my Instagram.
Okay, okay.
I'm trying to be more like out there on my social media platforms. I took a
Okay.
break. For a little
Okay.
while.
Well, you
So.
had to. You got a baby.
Yeah, I had to gain my sanity back.
I
Um,
know.
Do we have time for one more question?
Yeah.
Okay. So you talked a lot about this community that supported you while you were struggling. Did they make that transition with you into celebration too? Like, so like, what did
Good
that
question.
look like?
That is such a good question.
Because I feel like if like that part's hard. Like
Yeah.
if we're struggling with the same thing,
yeah.
and then you get your celebration before I get
Mhm.
mine, like what does that transition look like, and how did they celebrate with you and support you even now
Yeah.
that like Mila's here?
That is such a good question. I love that because they actually have another part of Moms in the Making, which is called Mom's Made.
Oh
So
my gosh.
I know. I'm like, ooh, you just reminded me. I forgot to mention that part. So they do have a part called Mom's Made, and that is for moms of miracle babies. Again, whether it's through birth or adoption, whichever way, it is still a support community for now motherhood. And how to navigate that new season of life because it is hard. Okay, just because you got the baby doesn't mean it's easy. It is harder now, and I love it. I'm actually in both. I'm in Mom's Made and Moms in the Making. Because I love the support I get for my motherhood journey. But being that we're walking into baby number 2, I love the support of fertility journey as well. So,
Great question.
yeah.
Thank
Thank you
great.
for that.
That's really good.
I'm like, I almost forgot.
Cool. So you can be part of 2 groups, but
Yeah.
they're related.
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
that's so
yeah.
awesome.
They give a curriculum. I forget how long the semesters are, but it's geared towards like a theme. So right now their theme is Shout for Joy. So it's just how to shout for joy in your season of waiting.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
powerful.
It is. I'm telling you, their curriculum is like, it just speaks volumes into your walk for sure.
Awesome.
I love it.
That's so great. Yeah. That was a great question, Amy.
That was. You got a gold star. Gold star.
Thank you so much for being with us, Amanda.
you
This
for
has been
having
so
me.
awesome. I'm so excited for our first PG-13 episode.
Listen,
Maybe
I
rated
can
R, I
come
mean.
back and talk about more, okay? Because there are topics that need to be spoken about.
Let's do it. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll have to schedule you again for another one.
When Alex is back.
She's like, I don't want to talk about my uterus. Please, no. I want to close that thing forever.
No.
But
I love
anyways,
it.
thank you again for
Thanks for
coming. And I
having me.
really hope this encouraged people. If you are not struggling this, but maybe you have a friend that is, it might be great to just be like, I'm praying for you. Maybe this will help you and kind of just share this episode. I don't know, whatever you feel like you can do. But I know this has been helpful for me to at least know how to pray for those friends that are maybe struggling with infertility right now. And thanks, guys, for following us, subscribing, and just sharing with friends. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you, Andy, for being such an awesome temporary co-host.
Just gonna go home and be like, I'm never
We
coming
love
on
you.
again.
No!
No, it's
I
okay.
hope
I'll be
not.
back.
I hope not. All right, thanks, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Friends, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Soul Sisters podcast.
Our heart is to bring this encouraging content to you, and we ask that you join us by following or subscribing wherever you're listening from.
And also, share this with a friend who would enjoy it.
We love you, and we'll see you again next week for a new episode. Besitos!